You are listening to the We Hired a Sitter for This podcast.
We hired a sitter for this.
We have a roster of like 7 sitters.
I hate authority, but I'm a mom.
I'm an old man. I need orthopedic shoes.
The laughs, the chuckles, the TMI.
Some people might say, why would you have kids? The oceans are rising. The economy's collapsing.
And they're not wrong. I'm Ross.
And I'm Patrick.
And we hired a sitter.
Well, I know nobody likes this, but I'm in the car again. This is the only place I have time to podcast.
Nobody likes this.
Everybody hates it. I got so many letters about last week's episode, how much I hate it. They hated it.
Is she asleep?
You didn't even get through the whole thing. No, she's looking, but it's okay.
Okay.
We got a three chair episode right now.
We've got a kid in the car. We've got a dog in the car.
Oh yeah, 4 chairs. You said you listened last week. Did you hate it?
No, I didn't hate it.
Did you listen? Did you finish it?
I was worried about you.
Did you finish it?
Yeah, I did. Oh, here we go. You ready for background noise, everybody? Come on.
We have a person in the car who's obsessed with having the window down.
How do you feel? Do we keep going?
Yeah, well, let's just keep going till I think it's untenable.
Oh.
You know that word, untenable?
What are you guys talking about?
Mama and I are catching up. Do you want to rest? Do you want to suck your thumb and go to sleep?
Or watch your iPad again?
Yeah.
Okay.
2 minutes later.
This should be a great episode, an easy one to record. It's going to be a very easy one, all right? So let's all keep our eyes on the road. Wait, is this a... Oh, no, it's bird shit. I thought I got another cracked windshield.
Oh, poor Peggy's stressed. She's like, what is this?
No, I'm sorry that this is a car episode. If you're a fan, I'm sorry. It's just, we're busy,
sorry.
and to get her locked in to do another episode, I gotta surprise her. I said, I know we're driving up to your parents today, but I also need your time on the drive. We're doing a podcast.
I'm gonna need your time.
I need more time.
I'm gonna need more time.
Are you okay with doing it now?
Yeah, I don't give a shit. Whatever. I just want to know that you keep checking on
That one. Niña. La Niña.
El Niña. I was trying to think of a word to make fun of her, and it's gone because
Chupacabra.
Sure.
Little devil child. The devilish one. Your parents called you the devilish one.
They did. Yeah.
What was that about?
I don't really know, because I don't think I actually got into that much mischief. I think it was truly just because I was, like, loud and outspoken and, like, knew what I liked.
You had opinions.
So, therefore equals the devil.
Yeah,
because
a girl who's
a
autonomous.
Girl with opinions and who takes up space. Oh, she got the devil in her.
Yeah, send her straight
That's for sure.
Straight to boarding school. Give her the switch.
I wish. What I would have given to be sent to boarding school back in the day.
Yeah.
Because I had rich friends that were sent to boarding school, and I was like, you guys are so lucky. You get to go to college before college.
What is the general vibe of boarding school people? Like, do they like it?
I don't really know.
Like, the people I know who went to boarding school are people who I work with professionally, and it was chaotic for them and their families because they had some kind of addiction issue come up or whatever.
No, while they were there.
Yeah, for people who it goes well for, it must be like kind of an amazing experience.
Well, I had one friend who went to a boarding school after freshman year, and her parents were pretty, like, cold. Like, they definitely gave icy cold vibes. And she was, like, a super warm, lovely person. So I was always sort of like, they just, like, sent her away to, like, get rid of her. Like, that's how I felt as a teenager.
Yeah, I do think plenty of parents...
But we all hate our parents when we're that age anyway. So I was like, I mean, I wouldn't, like, if I could go away.
Yeah.
You think you want that. Who knows if you're actually there.
Yeah, I think plenty of parents send and just try to get the kid out of the house.
Or if you're really into a sport, like I knew another kid that was like big into soccer, and so then he went to like a fancy boarding school because he's so good at soccer. But I don't know. I think it's very old school New England, too.
Yeah.
To be like, well, you have to go to this fancy school. Oh, and then, actually, there was another kid. This is, like, the real tea, the real drama of wealthy people trying to succeed. So this guy that was in my class, who was so creative, so funny.
Oh, man, look at that. Somebody rear-ended a mulching, what is that called? The wood chipper truck.
That's scary.
Imagine they rear-ended it and then went right into the wood chipper. That's not what happened, people.
Imagine.
It's not what happened, people.
Just made me think of Fargo.
Yeah.
There was this kid in my class who I really liked. He was super creative, really interesting. I mean, a bit of a chauvinist, like all of them were, but was part of like the cool creative crew of dudes.
Yeah.
And his parents had a long history of going to like a specific boarding school. Like it was like, you know, generations.
Did it have like a very old English name like Chatsworth or
It didn't actually. I don't know if I should name it.
Smigglesfield?
Who cares? No, it didn't have one of those, but it is some, I don't know, some fancy ass
It's a
school.
white supremacist institution that you don't want to name.
Yeah.
Wow. You don't have the balls to name this
It was called
institution.
Groton, I believe. But it's not in Groton, Connecticut, somewhere else. But
There's a Groton, New York, too, I think.
the Groton School. And for him to go, he had to stay back a year in high school. So he decided to go, and he was not a bad student. And we went to a private prep school.
Yeah.
So they would only accept if he stayed back a year. So then he repeated freshman year in high school at this fancy ass school.
And you know why? Not because of development or testing or anything like that. They
Money,
literally
probably.
didn't have the room, and they're like, if we can get 4 years worth of money out of this
Totally.
family, let's
So
pitch this.
fucked up.
They probably had a meeting. Let's pitch this crazy idea to this family and see if we can get their money. And the family said yes.
And he, like, to me was like a really fun, cool guy in our freshman year in particular. He wore a lot of vintage clothes. He, on his own volition, he wore a vintage suit every single day, Monday through Thursday with a briefcase, but then would have casual Fridays.
That's hilarious. In freshman year?
Our freshman year of high school, yes.
That is very funny.
And he did it all year. Like, he was a very smart,
Sounds
creative,
a little spectrum-y, possibly.
Sure, of course. But, you know, they weren't diagnosing things like that back in this day.
Yeah.
But, like, was a kind person, too, for the most part. And then he went to that school, and it sounds like he got into all kinds of trouble and then got kicked out. But he was a year behind, so then he came back to our school, but in the class behind ours.
So did 6 years of high school, essentially.
No, 5, I believe. But just the year behind us.
But if he did his freshman year and then had to go to the private school and do another freshman year.
So it's 2, like, so he did
Oh,
2
but he didn't do
freshman
the full
years.
4 years.
No, he got kicked out before senior
see.
year
Okay.
and came back to our school,
I see.
but a grade behind.
Yeah.
So then he ended up graduating with the class behind us and not with his friends.
Wow.
And he was obviously so angry, like acting out like crazy, was very mean, and like said some of the meanest things to me. Like, I can't even remember specifically, but like I remember him being the ringleader of just saying like horrible, character assassinating things to me, like at parties
Oh, gosh.
in between school, you know, like.
Wow, what happened to him at boarding school?
Well, he definitely developed a drinking and drug problem. And then all of these kids that he went to boarding school with ended up going to college with another friend of ours from high school. So they all went to Bard, which is why I hate Bard.
Oh.
And it was all these like New York City wealthy ass kids that were just fucking mean and nasty. And so now I had 2 friends from high school that were like part of this like weird crew that went from Groton to Bard.
Yeah.
And that was like the first 4 to 6 months of me living in New York City, was having these like fucking mean, rich white dudes all up in my new goddamn apartment.
Yeah.
Being fucking assholes to me.
Wow.
And it all kind of like started from this weird place back in high school. Like it was really.
Well, as we know, adolescents go through a lot of chemical changes.
Sure, yeah.
And we watched Inside Out 2 last night. So I'm imagining him going to boarding school with this funny sense of humor, like with the business suits and everything.
Yeah.
And then the chemicals and hormones just raging in his brain.
But also very much like keeping up with the Joneses.
Yeah.
Which I was doing in my own way at my small private prep school too, where I was like, if I'm just wearing the right amount of J. Crew and playing field hockey and like, you know, being as attractive as I possibly can be, even though I'm like totally prepubescent and nobody's interested in me, like I will pass.
Yeah.
I'll have all these people fooled and they'll forget that my mom works here and makes announcements every single day.
Yeah.
With her hands on her hips. You know? It didn't work.
I relate. I'm sorry he said so many cruel things to you.
But you relate. You relate.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, so you did meet me in high school.
Mm-hmm.
Or actually,
I
for
think
me,
we
it was
knew
more like elementary school. 5th and 6th grade is when I was really cruel and mean to other people. Then I was super shy again in middle school because I got bullied. And then, when I started drinking in college, I really started hurling some
Got mean again.
terrible, mean insults at people to get laughs.
Yeah. Yeah, it was very that. It was always drinking at somebody's house party and just starting to say like really cruel and vicious things.
Yeah, and it was, for me, that was my J. Crew. It was like, well, if I can make my friends laugh or make this crowd of people laugh at one person, then I'll be accepted.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure it was that too on some level.
But yeah, anyway, we're in the car.
We're passing exit 5, Mianus, Connecticut.
Oh, hilarious. And
speaking of
and
which,
the school, it says Putnam College under it, and that sign is in brown. It's a brown sign under another sign that says Mianus.
And if you are a child or teenager of the 90s, you might remember there's a Jackass episode where they go to Mianus, Connecticut.
Oh, interesting.
Just because it's called that. Purely.
What did they do in the scene?
They might go to a sewage plant or something.
They probably stick stuff up their butts.
I think they really took it literally. Which Mianus is pretty close to Greenwich, which is like, you know, the waspiest part of Connecticut. Like when people think of Connecticut, they think of Greenwich, I'm pretty sure. Ooh, look at those houses. Damn.
Franny knows the word Connecticut.
She does?
Yeah. Did you watch the video I sent to the group chat?
No, I didn't.
She says it flawlessly.
Wow.
And that's a tough word.
And you know what? That's white supremacy right there working. Look at that child. Look at that blonde-haired, blue-eyed child saying Connecticut perfectly.
Yes. Well, that's because we sent her to elocution classes at Bigglesworth boarding school.
Well, we used to play field hockey against some of those boarding schools as well.
What are some of the names? I know there's like...
Loomis Chafee. That's a good one.
What is Loomis Chafee up to?
Loomis Chafee, we played field hockey there. Choate is a big one.
Oh, I got hit in the choate with a field hockey ball. Got hit
right in the choate. Choate is a pretty fancy one. Exeter, I think, is one too. That might be in Maine. There's a bunch. I mean, shit is crazy.
Yeah.
Shit is New England. Shit is crazy. Okay?
Speaking of crazy shit, how's your period going?
How dare you?
How's your life? I'm checking in about your life.
It's okay.
Our most viewed episode on YouTube was from 2 weeks ago.
Is it still the most viewed?
I think so, yeah.
I mean, we did discuss a lot of juice. Yeah, I'm alright. You know. The saga continues.
Yeah.
The saga being that I'm processing a midlife crisis, I guess, for lack of a better phrase.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just kind of like in a mental state of reflection, but I also can feel that it is very connected to some serious growth.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Not only emotionally, spiritually, but also career-wise.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's all very interconnected about whether I'm gonna, like, pop off or stay small.
Yeah, you just got off the phone with a potential client or a potential agency supervisor for some healing work.
Yeah.
Some mental health healing.
Yeah.
Coaching.
Yeah.
That sounded exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'm excited, but
well, I just keep imagining
it does
you
mean
as
money.
Like a woman who works with feminine humans.
Yes, femmes.
Femhumes.
Femmes and queers.
Fumes.
Fumes.
You work with fumes. You huff gasoline.
Yeah.
And it sounded like a good gasoline huffing opportunity on the phone.
Yeah. You know, I think it's like I've gotten a lot of good feedback from different career parts of my life. I have some doula clients coming up. There's potential for a retreat happening for yoga.
You had a random person from San Diego, California, come.
Wasn't anything about San Diego?
I thought they were from the West Coast.
No.
Anyway, a random stranger came to your class to scout you.
Yeah.
You're being scouted by the scouts.
I'm being scouted by the scouts.
I remember that being a thing in high school, like, oh yeah, so-and-so's getting scouted by this college or that college.
So
and you
weird.
got scouts coming to your classes.
Yeah.
To try to get you to lead a cult? Is that what it is?
Some people call it a retreat, some people call it a cult.
Right.
You know.
The cult is starting, everybody.
Yeah. So, you know, I'm okay. I think I'm also like, we haven't had a lot of time together. We've been missing each other. My mom was just in town helping me out while you were out of town, and now we're headed to my parents' house, which always makes me feel things. And then you have to leave because you have to go work. So I'm going to be alone at my parents' house with Fran, which I'm sure will be fine, but it just, you know, it brings stuff up, kicks your shit up.
Yeah, we got a big shitstorm coming down the pike, is what I'm getting at.
Like, I'm looking for some art, and maybe it'll be great. Maybe I won't have those feelings, but, you know, your childhood bedroom does inevitably just kick it up.
Make you annoyed on a, like a cave person level.
And I was with...
Like, you're going to be in the corner of the room for the whole trip, just going...
I was talking to a new doula client last week who we were talking about our parents, and because they were headed to her family's house this week as well, and she was saying how, like, she just immediately becomes a teenager around her mother, and she has to remind herself to be grateful. She's singing to Coco. And I was like, yeah, it's just like inevitably we end up like 15 years old and just being like, Mom, I get it.
Yeah.
And she says she has brothers who are just like, what's up with you and Mom? And it's like, yeah, like the brothers don't understand the dynamics of the mom-daughter, but also like my brother has his own dynamics with our father that I don't have. So it's just like this weird gendered family of origin bullshit.
And I can't wait to be in the thick of it.
Well, you're only there for 2 days, so fucking suck it up, bitch.
I will. JoJo is doing some scouting around the neighborhood for other young children for us to kidnap. No, for
Fran to have play dates.
For Fran to have some playtime and play dates, which I think might be a big gift to investigate because...
No, I hope it works out. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Especially as she gets older, we could be like, you're going to JoJo's for the weekend.
Yeah.
Know what I'm saying?
You're going to JoJo's to hang out with...
Me and Dad are going to Puerto Rico by ourselves. We'll see you guys later.
Your Connecticut friends, Blakely and Samson.
Yeah.
What are waspy names? William?
Blake. Some really good ones from my high school. Avery.
Oh, gosh.
Garrett.
Oh, Garrett. So anyway,
It's gonna be great.
Yeah. It's just our summer plans kind of fell apart when we realized we don't have money. So I took on all these coaching jobs. So I have to go back to the city to do some
Which
coaching.
was kind of part of the original thought, but I think we both were like, we'll see.
No, we were like, oh, we need money now.
Yeah, like it's like not a later, it's like a now.
Yeah.
Sitch. How about you? What's up?
Nothing. I'm happy to be back with my family. I was up in Binghamton, New York for, what was that, 4 nights, 5 days of performing some shows and feeling lonely and alone, and
We both were feeling lonely in different locations.
getting to do my favorite thing in the world for an hour a night, but then the rest of the day just being like, am I a bad father? Is it bad that I'm enjoying some of this alone time?
No.
Is my wife okay? Is my car gonna get me back to New York City?
Yeah.
Yeah, that last
It
episode
did.
was on
It did.
Yeah, and it sounds great right now.
For the Kia Sorento, it sounds great.
Yeah, there's some
Not
sounds.
not for any other car, but for this one, it sounds pretty good.
However you people are hearing this, I'm putting about 20 filters on the audio to make it sound as clean as possible.
Look, Fran's exasperated.
Yeah.
She just went, oh god, just shut up. Get out the car.
But yeah, I missed you terribly, and yesterday was just a great day, spending all day with you guys. And
But you told me I had a short fuse. She's like,
oh, your fuse was short yesterday. Yeah, you had a hot short fuse. It looked great. Okay. Okay.
everything's annoying.
Yeah.
I got you trying to shove a paper towel in my hand while I'm buckling this kid in, and
Well, because you're
things in my
saying, "Where's a
face.
wipe? Where's a wipe?" and I give you a wipe option, and then you tell me to screw off.
Because you're just like, this is Patrick holding a wipe, just waiting for me to grab it from
Yeah.
him.
Well, what else am I gonna do?
Just wait until I was ready.
Wait until you're ready, or predict the exact
Predict?
moment.
Come
the
on,
exact
you
moment.
gotta be able to predict at this point, hon.
Read my mind, please. Yeah, we saw Inside Out 2. We also had a fun play date with our new friends from swim class.
Yeah, that was cute. Fran has a new friend that is equally as extroverted and boisterous, maybe even more, quite honestly.
Yeah, and she's definitely a little bit more like articulate and.
Yeah, what are we doing?
Fran, I'm gonna step up Franny's language game.
Yeah, so Fran got injured
Yeah,
yesterday.
Fran got plowed over on the
I didn't hear how it happened.
sprinklers, and she got a little bit of like road rash on her ankle, and it was a whole thing to clean it up and whatever. And she was upset and didn't want to really clean it. She just wanted to like air it out and watch videos, and then anytime other children came over to see the phone or to see her ankle or to whatever, she would get upset. So anyway, she would get upset, and then this new friend, she said, I think she's overwhelmed right now.
This girl's not even 4.
Sometimes I get overwhelmed too. And it was just very, very sweet.
Did I tell you the other day that she was like drawing and was using this new pencil she got, and she was like to herself was like, I can't get this fucking pencil to work.
Oh my god.
And I literally did a dramatic grab of my face because I didn't want her to hear me just like bust out laughing so hard.
Yeah.
And when she saw me walk over and she was like, I just said fucking. And I was like, yes, I know. I was like, you're allowed to say that around me, but you have to remember that if you say things like that outside of our house, you're probably going to get in trouble and there's nothing I can do about it. So that's the approach I'm taking.
Okay.
Whether you like it or not.
Okay. Was JoJo there?
No, this was before she came.
Where do you think she learned that?
Well, I'll tell you. And it's not just the obvious answer, me. I've been playing a specific Chapel Roan song.
Oh, yes.
Feminine. Jesus.
Everybody slows down so fast sometimes.
Femininomenon.
Yes.
And there's a part where she yells
Multiple times.
And I've made a bit of a gag of it with Fran, where every time, because it's like she goes from singing to speaking that part.
Yeah.
And every time she speaks it, I turn to Fran and I go, and we both look at each other like, did you hear what she said? So
you're making it special and fun. Okay.
Which, it is, honestly.
No, it is.
And she used it right. Like out of frustration. And I think it's more important for her to understand that, like, there are places and times where things like that are allowed, and there are places and times where it is not. And it's intention, and it's time and space, and it's fucking time, man.
Yeah.
Dude.
I was sitting at a meeting in Binghamton the other day, this like nice little church basement. It's like a really nice group of old people and some younger people. And there's this guy talking baseball with his buddy across the circle. Like, this was as iconic a 12-step meeting as you've seen in movies. It's like chairs in a circle in a church basement.
Yeah. With like old rugged-looking dudes, I would imagine.
Well, and a lot of old ladies, like a lot of like ladies that would look like any of our grandmothers, like just
a lot of Loises.
Yeah, like really sweet ladies. And then like 10 or so of us in our 20s, 30s, and 40s, like young, cool dudes. You know what I mean?
20.
And two of them are talking to each other across the circle about baseball and about the game and about
younger dudes or older dudes?
Younger, like late 20s probably.
And they're cursing.
And one of them is cursing every other word.
That's gross.
He's like, yeah, well, that guy, he's been in the fucking league for 15 years, but he's still got that shit. I was fucking pissed when he didn't fucking, and I was like, oh my God, it was so jarring. And I wanted to just be like, dude, chill, but, and then I looked at his shirt, it said something paving. So he's working outside all day with a group of guys, and they're just, that's what they do. That's how they sound.
Well, and I mean, this probably sounds
classist,
elitist, but,
snobby.
But there is a difference between like using it, and I'm not saying I always use it in a lovely way. But there is a difference between just overusing it for lack of vocabulary.
Yeah.
And using it for a punch.
It was like he was...
My cousin is like that, too.
It was like he was blinking or breathing.
Remember we were visiting my family down south, and my cousin was talking like that, too, like where it was so excessive. He was putting it in places that it didn't...
Yeah.
Like, he was adding more work
yes.
by putting in swear words into these sentences. And, like, that is very jarring to me.
Yeah.
Which, I might argue that if you're not talking about the use of words and nuance and things like that, that is when it excessively happens.
Yeah.
So that's my argument.
Well, that's funny that she said that. I love the random things we've heard her say. The one that still kills me is when she was on the bus in her raincoat, and she's checking the various pockets of her raincoat, like over the coat, and then she goes, she just looks at me and she goes, "Oh shit, I forgot my keys." I'm like, you don't have any locks. There's nothing you need to unlock. You have lots of play keys, but there's no, you're not going to need it to get in anywhere. It was just like, oh man, she's definitely mimicking.
I mean, yeah, like how many times have I done that?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, am I having a negative impact? Sure, one might say, but...
You bonked your toe today and you said the F word pretty loud, and I was like, oh, that's one that...
Yeah, it'll stick.
Yeah.
It'll stick. But I just think she did call me a shit, And that I laid in. I was like, we do not call people these words.
Even if I'm being a shit, don't call me a shit.
Well, no.
I mean, you call me a shit sometimes.
Do I? That doesn't feel like something I ever say.
I'm just trying to make a joke.
How did it go?
It didn't go well, because here we are. You shit.
I just don't like lying. I don't like lying for the sake of a bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
We didn't have to. We didn't have to. That should be the name of our podcast. We didn't have to do any of this.
We didn't have to.
None of this needed to be a thing. None of it.
None of this needed to be.
This didn't. We didn't have to.
But here we are. Here we are.
Situation in which we found ourselves.
What's the I said that to you?
I can't remember, but I ended up putting it in my vows, in my love letter to you during our wedding.
Yes, in which you bawled your eyes out.
Yeah.
Because men hold it in,
I cried,
and then they let it out.
I cried for many reasons that day, and now when I reflect back on it, I realize I was crying for many more reasons.
Would you like to share any of them?
Just kidding, I'm kidding.
That was another great
You can't have
hit.
retroactive. Oh, we're passing Fairfield, Connecticut right now.
Uh-huh.
Gastor and I will be at the Fairfield Comedy Circle on Saturday, August 3rd, everybody. We're going to co-headline on Saturday.
The Comedy Circle.
August 20.
Is
August
it in
3rd.
The Round? Is it performing in The Round?
It's in The Round if you mean by in a hotel lobby with no walls. It's a curtain. So people are checking in and they can just hear comedy behind the curtain.
What are people doing?
But it's BYOB, and the show I did there in January was great. It was like an awesome show.
That's good.
It's all plastic folding chairs. It's a great time. You guys should come. And it's BYOB, and Gastor and I both will do like a half an hour. And
that sounds fun. A little duo time.
Breathing on me?
She's like, here he goes again. Talking about damn Comedy Circle. And Peggy. Oh, the Peggy Pickles. Wow, this is, what's that camera called?
A GoPro.
Thank you.
GoPro cam.
Is really clocking the whole family here.
Yeah.
How about that?
Also, this camera is like 12 years old. It's the Hero 2 for any production nerds out there. That's why it looks pretty crummy right now.
For any fucking nerds out there.
This camera's way outdated.
Cool.
Yeah.
What else?
Oh, and it's gonna die, actually. I never plugged it in. Actually, can you plug it in?
Is it dead? Is it dead right now?
It's still recording. I guess we could just keep an eye on it.
I mean, do we have anything else to talk about?
Yeah, of course.
How long have we been recording?
I'm not telling you that. I'm not telling you.
Is this the sound of somebody invested?
Yeah. Well, when I get back, I just texted Gastor this morning. We will try to record a bunch of episodes.
Yeah.
From the home in front of the green screen, and we'll get back on track. And
you sprung it up on me.
I won't bug you for another year or so.
I mean,
this will be your last
sooner
episode.
Rather than later.
This is your last episode for the year.
Wow.
Okay? Let's check back in on your healing journey, your coaching work, your yoga retreat.
Okay.
We'll see if any of it came true. This will be our time capsule episode.
Great. This morning, I taught yoga this morning, and there was this part in the sequence, because as a yoga teacher, you create a sequence for your class, and I couldn't remember what the next thing was. And thankfully, a regular student of mine who was front row looked up at me and she was like, side plank cross. And I was like, Freya, thank you.
That's nice.
Yes. And a lot of times when I forget what is coming up, I do a thing where I'm like talking it out as I go, where I'm like, Okay, you're in low lunge. Now, what is it that I have you guys doing next? It's something to do with, and it's side plank. That's what it's called. Okay, keep it moving. Like,
it's so funny how similar teaching yoga is to performing stand-up.
I know, and when you said that you were enjoying yourself for an hour and then you felt lonely after you weren't performing, like when you were upstate, I was like, oh, I relate to that. Like, the times I've taught while you've been away have been like so joyful and fun, and like this morning was so fun, and then you just like kind of come down off of that high.
Yeah.
But what I like about, should we keep going?
Yeah, we're rolling. You see that hole right there?
Oh, what kind of hole do we think he's talking about, ladies and gentlemen? These and those.
We gotta carefully squeeze it in here so that it...
Alright, did we do it?
Wow, we're still rolling. Wow. Go team.
They said we couldn't do it. They said they'd be a nightmare on The Amazing Race.
Oh my god, should we do The Amazing Race? Well, The Amazing Race...
When Fran's older.
They might come calling if your retreats take off.
I love your vision work. We would have to probably go to couples therapy once we got back, though.
Yeah, we'd have to do a lot of repair work.
Because you think I got a short fuse now.
Wait till there's $1 million on the
line. and international travel. Although the last
it would be
season,
so much of me just going...
Yeah.
And then turning my back and walking off.
Yeah. And me being like, get back here. We're on a team. Oh, I'm not allowed to freak out sometimes. Would be that mostly. But you know, the last season we watched, they took all of that chaos out because of COVID stuff. They had like chartered their own plane. So they never had to deal with travel plans.
Oh, yeah.
So it was like actually a very drama-free season because that's like so much of where the drama happens.
Yeah.
So if they're still doing that, then we might stand a chance. Well.
Wait, so while I was away, teaching yoga was your highlight, you think? Like being at the studio and being in community with your students?
Yeah, I mean, I just related to the sentiment of you saying that, like, performing for an hour doing the thing you love is really exciting, and then you get off the stage and you go back to your sad Airbnb and you're like, what am I doing?
The saddest of Airbnbs.
Yeah,
I was with a young Turkish man named Fadid. I'm like, who Fadid?
I can't. It's like, it just feels wrong.
It is wrong, and I'm just being silly on a drive, okay?
Okay.
He was a nice young man. He told me he feels Americans are lonely.
Oh yeah, that does feel very astute, actually.
He said nobody eats together. He said in my home country, me and my family and my friends, we eat together, we drink tea together.
Yeah.
Nobody does that here. Which I perceived as, can we please drink tea or eat together? And I was just like...
And you're like, I'm tired.
I gotta go to bed.
Yeah. Is she whatting her show?
Yeah, I think so.
She just saw a part of Boss Baby and she was like, what? She's like, you gotta be kidding me.
Oh, is that what she's watching right now?
I don't know. It's one of the things I downloaded. Oh my god, this is apropos of nothing. Occasionally, if and when I go on Facebook, I'll get like a memory of when we were still like posting updates on Facebook, you know? You're like letting people know my thoughts.
Yeah.
And so sometimes I get a memory of that, which never ages well.
Yeah, especially when you were writing it in the third person.
Well, because they set us up like that
like
first,
Ross
right?
Is really tired.
It used to be like that, right?
Yeah.
This was 2012, so I think it was after that. But it was like just discovered Alec Baldwin's podcast. Like, life is complete.
Yeah.
And my brother and I have been like screenshotting those and sending them to each other, being like, this didn't age well. Like, look at this one. This is a nightmare. And I just sent that one to him the other day, and I was just like, boy, like, what a simpler time. Where I was just like, oh, Alec Baldwin,
this is all I need.
What a hoot.
Yeah.
I love his voice, and I love his podcast. And now he's killed a person, and he's on a TLC reality show, which I probably will be tuning into, let's be honest.
He's got a great relationship with his daughter. Leaves her very kind voicemails.
Oh, I think that daughter has actually signed off on his insane behavior as of late. Like, she's, like, happy for him.
Yeah. How many kids do you think he has now?
I mean, he has, like, 7 or 8 with that yoga teacher nut job.
Yeah.
Hilaria.
They're just trying to get people to sign up for their retreat.
Oh, yeah.
So now they have a party of 9 coming.
I just don't understand, like, you've been a rich celebrity your whole life. Why on earth would you want to saddle yourself with 8 young children as an old man?
Well, because he doesn't have to take care of them.
I guess not, but I don't know. It just seems like you could do whatever you want, and you did this. Like,
I think a lot
weird
of people,
narcissism or something, right?
It's like these are just 9 repositories for my legacy. Like, these people will talk about me, and like, same with Al Pacino. Like, Al Pacino fathered a child, like, in the last 3 years.
And Robert De Niro. They both just had babies, and they're in their 80s.
Yeah.
Babies in their 80s.
Yeah.
That's a hit.
I like it.
Now that's a hit.
Having babies in my 80s, my balls hang low. Having sex with my wife to see if the sperm still goes.
I am ageist in that regard, because I'm just like, you gotta be kidding.
Yeah.
Fucking an Al Pacino sack of bones. That, like, tanned leather.
Yeah. When you're reverse cowgirling Al Pacino, imagine what his feet look like. Looking down, you're holding...
That is true. If
you're
the
holding
lights are
on to
on...
his shins. You're holding his shins and the eczema and the cracked skin.
No!
Like...
No.
He's like, you gotta loosen your grip. I got bad circulation.
I mean, he would definitely... We're getting graphic now, but I feel like he would really have to be on some sort of stimulation to maintain a reverse cowgirl situation.
I mean, I barely can keep things engaged.
I'm like, 81-year-old leather handbag, Al Pacino.
Yeah.
What's the men's... Just for Men? Is that the dye, hair dye?
Yeah.
Yeah. He did a new, like, batch of black hair dye. Yeah. He's ready to go.
Yeah.
Reverse cowgirl.
Reverse cowgirl on that Italian steed.
Yes. Yes, indeed. Italian steed? Yes, indeed.
The Italian stallion, Al Pacino. That's what they know him as.
Well... Is that it? Are we done?
We just plugged it in. So now we can just record the whole way there.
Are you going to edit, though?
No. Well, maybe I'll edit out.
I would edit if I were you. If I were you, I'd edit.
Some of these interactions with her, because... And also, I wonder if she's in the shot, because I should blur her face. I know we put her on Instagram, but we shouldn't really put her on YouTube, right?
What?
Should we put her face on YouTube?
No.
If I can...
No.
If it's on there, I'll blur it.
Yeah. No, definitely do not put her face on YouTube.
And I will also edit out some of those iPad negotiations. Right?
Yeah, sure. If you want to.
And then I'll just edit out everything I said.
Okay.
And then after that, I'll go through and I'll edit out everything you said.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds good. While I'm checking my phone, because I just want to make sure I haven't missed anything that's, like, really important.
Did you miss anything?
Just a friend telling me she thinks it's her first night home without a child since her daughter was born.
Wow.
Yeah. Her husband is out of town. Her mom came and took her daughter for the weekend, and now she's by herself.
Are you talking about your doula?
No.
Is this private?
No. No, it's not private. It's my friend Allie.
Oh. What's she gonna do?
But I will tell her that, I mean, she'll probably enjoy it. But I felt really crazy when you guys were still in Colorado and I was back from California. I was like, where's my family?
Well, you also, that's when your midlife crisis
you
kicked
just
off.
had to bring it
That's
up.
when you decided to just stir the pot.
Yeah, I know.
Stir the pot with
All right.
with
All right.
with
All right.
dicey sensuality.
All right.
All I'm saying is it's your fault.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. I love you and support you, and I wish you luck on your journey. And I
wish you luck on your journey.
I hope
all the best
I hope
on your
therapist's
journey.
availability is opening up.
No, my therapist is too available as far as any other therapists are concerned. I'm sure they would say you're too available, and I'm like, oh, thank God.
Yeah.
I leave voice notes on my therapist's phone all the time.
Oh, she listens?
Oh yeah, and then sends me a long text back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Does she bill for that?
No. She did that just the other night. I left her a long voice note. I was like, I just need to check in. She listened to the whole thing.
What'd you say?
Wrote
What
me
was
a monologue. Did you come up?
What was it? Did I come up?
No, you didn't come up, I don't think, on this one.
Let's celebrate Pride a little bit. Tell me about the Dyke March. You went to the Dyke March Saturday night. I was still away. I was at whatever the opposite of the Dyke March is. That's where I was. I was in a farm. I was on a farm in a big hay barn performing
That
comedy.
sounds pretty dykey, to be quite honest.
True.
But there, as far as you could tell, there were no dykes there. At least openly.
There's a lot of people in cowboy drag.
Sure.
Which we discussed recently.
Yeah. It was great. I met up with a friend at Stonewall Inn, the historic Stonewall Inn, which is where Pride began at the Stonewall riots.
Did you guys get a drink inside?
Outside.
You
They
got
had
this
closed the
outside.
street down and put a bunch of tables outside, and there were some very old school drag queens performing on the street,
That's cool.
getting pissed at people walking by. Because they're like, I'm performing. No, it was great. People are just like out and chatting, and like people passing by being like, oh, you look great. Like,
Yeah.
the vibe is great. And then my friend's girlfriend is in the Dyke drum line.
Oh, that's cool.
Which is like a big part of the Dyke March every year. They're usually like towards the back of the march.
And how come the Dyke March is separate from the Pride Parade?
I think it's just its own, like it was started by lesbians, for lesbians basically, and now has evolved into something bigger than that. Like it's definitely much more trans inclusive. You pretty much see every kind of person besides, I mean, there's definitely some like cis gay guys there, but that is probably the least common person.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like the rest of the rainbow except that. So then we walked up the street to watch the parade for a bit. Is she okay back there? And it's just like, so there's just so much love and celebration, and people have their tits out, and everyone feels, you can just feel the sense of safety, security, community, and joy.
Yeah.
And it really does beg the question, why can't it be like this more often in life across the board?
More often and in more places.
Yes. And there was some kids, like parents, queer parents, walking with their kids as young as Fran, and animals, and there's just, it's also like, you know, there's a whole discussion around the big Pride Parade becoming very corporate. There's a lot of corporate sponsorships. There's a lot of Israeli money, as far as I know, in a lot of these spaces still. and the Dyke March and the Queer Liberation March, which happens before the big Pride Parade, definitely had a Free Palestine arc throughout the entire parades, both of them. They also, I think, at some point shut down the big Pride Parade with a Free Palestine group in front of the Human Rights Campaign float, who I guess takes money from some company that invests in Israeli weapons.
Interesting.
So it's like, I mean, there's dirty money in literally everything, from what it seems like. And the Dyke March and the Queer Liberation March is literally still the vibe of a protest, not sponsorship. Which is really cool. And the Dyke March ends in Washington Square Park, where a bunch of people jump in the fountain, and people are just like having a good time.
Yeah, that's great.
It was really nice. And
there were lots of lesbians at my shows this week.
Cute.
Great. I think every night there were couples in the audience.
Sure. They live upstate.
Yeah.
They live in upstate.
Probably second homes. And then also there were some trans themes throughout my week from just different conversations I was having with people after shows and stuff like that. And it gave me, like, it's so easy to go to these small towns and, like, prejudge what people must be into or what it's like there. And then, I think tolerance levels are going up. It's just when there is hate, it's just so loud and horrible and newsworthy.
It's true.
So hopefully things are changing and we can all do it together.
You heard it here. Not first, but you heard it here.
Yeah. You did say Saturday night after you got home from the march and you had a cigarette on the roof that you were feeling lonely.
Why are you trying to make me process everything?
I'm just helping you get your reps in before you talk to your therapist about it.
Yeah, I felt a little lonely. You had been out of town for a while. My mom was at our place, which just gives me a little bit of discomfort because it's not like in its normal state.
Yeah.
Although she is the reason why I was able to go to the Dyke March.
And the reason I was able to go do a bunch of shows.
Correct.
I keep thinking I should get her a gift. Like,
the gift is this doll baby sitting right behind me.
I got this doll baby. But it is, because that was a running thing I was riffing about on stage with people who were there at shows, and they would say, oh, do you have a sitter at home? Nobody has a sitter. It's all like, my mom is watching them, or they're at my parents', or it was all family members. Every single time I asked that question. And we typically have to hire sitters, but occasionally JoJo...
For a longer stint.
Yeah, she'll swoop in and help, and it's like, I'm so grateful for it.
I know, truly. She's loving what's going on whatever terrible thing she's watching. Yes?
Do you have sweets?
Yeah.
Yes. Give me one moment and I'll give you a treat, okay? Okay. All right, I'll give you something. Hold on. What the hell was I talking about? Oh, yeah, I was lonely. The woman I've been dating for a while now, she was out of town. You were out of town. None of my lovers were in town. And I was with, like, a relatively new friend. So I wasn't with, like, somebody I'm just totally knows me, and I'm comfortable with this person, but still, just new friend vibes. And I'm currently, like, parsing through the feelings of loneliness versus solitude, you know? Which is what I mean.
And what can fix those feelings? The quick fix or the spiritual fix? You know? I'm not asking you a question, I'm just saying.
Yeah, it's rhetorical.
That sounds like part of what you're...
Yeah, just like, and what is, can I can I enjoy some solitude in my own company without obsession over others?
Yeah.
She wants a treat.
All right, she wants a treat. We gotta go. Thanks
Yeah.
for joining us on another ride. Next week will not be a car episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Peggy.